The dumbest lottery winners of all time.
Accidentally throwing a £3 million lottery ticket in the bin to spending an entire $16 million prize in under 90 days. These are the absolute dumbest lottery winners of all time, beginning with Jose Antonio Quartok.
Now, first of all, I think just even playing the lottery, I don't know. I don't play the lottery. Unless like the lottery is going to be over $1 billion, that's the only time I go and buy a ticket. And then when I go to a casino or something, I don't even like gambling. I think I just hate losing money more than the thrill of winning money is. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
Who almost lost his entire lottery fortune after getting someone else to claim the money for him. You see, when
Dude, what? Was it your mom? The only person I would trust to like do that for me is maybe like a very close sibling, like my mother or my brother, or of course my wife, but she's married to me, so whatever she wins, I would win. Why did he do that?
Won the $750,000 jackpot back in 2010, he was living in the US illegally, so Jose asked his boss to claim the prize on his behalf, as he feared he couldn't claim the money without potentially facing legal trouble and deportation. This worked out perfectly until Jose's boss began to falsely state that he was the one who had actually purchased the ticket. Taking legal action against his boss was risky, given Jose wasn't supposed to be in the country at all. However,
what year was this? Definitely not 2026. Could tell you that much.
Given he had security camera footage of him purchasing the ticket, Jose did so and was able to prove that he was the rightful owner to the $750,000 prize.
And then he got deported. I'm kidding.
Only $250,000 this went to taxes, another $250,000 was spent on court fees, and throughout the legal process, Jose was jailed for drunk driving and was deported back to Guatemala as soon as he won the court case. However, at least Jose Antonio Quartok got to keep some of his winnings, as Denise Rossi wasn't so fortunate. When Denise
I bet you anything he took that 250 grand and now he is living in New York City. He came back.
Won a jackpot of $1.3 million back in 1996. She'd been married to Thomas Rossi for over 25 years, yet their relationship was apparently lacking in transparency, as Denise didn't tell her husband about the win, and instead filed for divorce only 11 days after buying the lucky ticket.
I already know this isn't gonna work. What an idiot, dude. I feel like I've heard of this, something like a story like this happening before. Or somebody wins the lottery and then they like kill their spouse or their husband or their wife, or someone. Oh no, you know what? I saw one time that someone was getting scammed, you know, like the Nigerian prince scam, similar to that. And the wife ended up killing the husband because she thought that he was about to get like a ton of money and it was all fake. And now she's in jail.
I was afraid to tell Thomas because I knew he would try to take the money away from me. I went to the Lottery Commission office and told them I was married but contemplating divorce. They told me to file before I got my first check, which I did. Denise was initially successful in hiding the money from her now ex-husband, as for a whole 2 years after their divorce, Thomas had no idea that Denise had ever won the lottery. However, in May 1999, a letter was sent to Thomas's home address, asking if Denise was interested in a lump sum buyout of her lottery winnings. This was the first Thomas knew about the lottery prize. He confirmed that Denise was a winner with the California lottery, and given they were still married at the time of the win, Thomas launched a lawsuit stating that he was entitled to half of the prize money. The judge specifically found that Denise's failure to disclose the lottery winnings constituted fraud, oppression, and malice, and as a result, the trial court awarded Thomas 100% of the lottery winnings, which left Denise with less than nothing, considering she also had to pay for her own legal fees. However, Denise's loss of $1.3 million was still nothing in comparison to Evelyn Adams. Dubbed the luckiest woman.
What an idiot, dude. What an idiot. I don't know how she thought that was gonna work. I mean, I don't know. People are stupid as shit, so I guess.
In America, Evelyn Adams became the first person in human history to win the lottery twice, initially for $3.9 million in October 1985, before winning another $1.4 million only 4 months later.
The next person to do this, you guys know, Jeffrey Epstein. Isn't that true? Didn't he win the lottery? I think I saw a news article about this, that Jeffrey Epstein won the lottery multiple times. Okay, so it says Jeffrey Epstein did not win the lottery, but a conspiracy theory claims his Zorro Trust won an $85 million Powerball jackpot in 2008. This rumor popularizes resurfaced documents and online forums, alleges the trust claimed the prize in Oklahoma just 2 days after Epstein began a prison sentence. Is it true? I don't know, dude. I can't trust anything from Google anymore. All right, it says, all right, maybe it wasn't true. All right, that's a massive L for me. Guess you can't believe all conspiracy theories.
The probability of this win being approximately 1 in 17.3 trillion, Evelyn seemed to realize that she had no lottery luck left by stating that she was going to quit playing and instead began to buy various businesses, including the convenience store where the lucky tickets had been purchased. While you could argue that this was a smart move, Evelyn still hadn't fixed her gambling problem, and instead of buying more lottery tickets, she instead took the rest of her winnings to the Atlantic City casinos, where she lost her entire remaining fortune to the slot machines. Without any money left, her businesses failed one after the other, and by 2012, Evelyn was living in a trailer park, while stating to the media, winning the lottery isn't always what it's cracked up to be. Kelly Rogers likely had a similar outlook, as after winning over £1.8 million at the age of only 16, her life was also ruined.
In 2003, hold on, the Royal Bank of Scotland. Okay, I was like, I don't think you can gamble at 16, but she's in Scotland.
Initially, Kelly stated, "I will not go wild and spend loads. I'm going to take some advice and see an accountant. Hopefully I will make us all comfortable. I want to help my family, but I won't change."
I'll tell you what, if I ever won the lottery, I'm not telling anyone. Probably not telling anyone, and I'm probably not changing much in my life. Like, I would still work and do YouTube every day. I would not quit. I would just keep going along, and I would probably be really boring and invest it. Maybe buy a house. I don't know.
I want a normal home, nothing posh. I just want a normal car as well. However, as soon as she received the money, Kelly instead spent £11,500 on 2 boob jobs, £300,000 on clothes, makeup, and tattoos, as well as £85,000 on top of the range sports cars. Kelly spent a further £250,000 on holidays to locations including Mexico and Euro Disney, £118,000 on gifts to form
$250,000, not dollars, euros, on holidays to locations Mexico and Euro Disney. That's just fucking great. People literally lose their minds when they win the lottery. I don't know. I feel like there's a crazy stat. It's like 85% of people that win the lottery that didn't have money before lose all of the money.
Former boyfriends, £190,000 in unreturned loans to friends and family members,
to boyfriends,
£50,500 on solicitors' fees, all of which being purchased while she was still in high school. Kelly did make a few smart purchases, such as an £180,000 bungalow and a £96,000 home for her mum. However, by the end of the year, Kelly was back to square one, being on welfare with only £2,000 left in her account. She's since stated,
what was it, 1.8 million euros? I mean, she probably could have invested that and lived off of, conservatively, 10,000 euros. I mean, no, more than that. 10,000 euros a month, probably. That's
it was too much money for someone so young. Even if you say your life won't change, it does, and often not for the better.
Yeah, I just wish I was a bit older at the time of winning it, because I think at 16, you're still just a child, and overnight, you've just got to grow up and become an adult. Which
is probably why she's now an advocate for raising the UK's legal gambling age from 16 to 18.
Yeah, I think you should have your frontal cortex like fully developed before you're allowed to gamble. That should be law. That's crazy that you can gamble at 16 because you don't know. It's like just who knows? Just adrenaline goes.
Just certainly spent her money poorly. However, at least she had the chance to spend it, as 25-year-old Amanda Clayton from Detroit was no longer alive by the end of her spending spree. When Amanda won the $1 million jackpot back in 2011, it seemed as though her life had been changed.
You know this is a curse. You won the lottery on September 11th.
Overnight. However, her win quickly became controversial after the media learned that she was still collecting food stamps and benefit payments despite having won the lottery.
Detroit woman is now the second lotto winner in the state to keep taking food stamps after hitting it big. And Amanda Clayton, who won $1 million and took home a $700,000 lump sum, the 24-year-old says even though she now owns 2 homes, she figured she was still allowed to use a bridge card.
After being confronted about the behavior, Amanda had the following to say.
I thought that they would cut me off, but since they didn't, I thought maybe it was okay because I'm not working.
And shortly thereafter, she was charged with 2 felony counts of welfare fraud and was ordered to pay back the $5,500 worth of food stamps she'd received. While Amanda quickly paid,
she did all of that for $5,500.
The $5,500 back, she never got the chance to spend the rest of the money, as only 6 months later she would unfortunately overdose in one of her 2 homes.
He says she was tormented by the fame and the problems that came with winning the lottery.
What's the point of having money if you're not going to have happiness?
He says she didn't want the money anymore and bought things for her family and set up college funds for her children. He says she only had $67,000 of her winnings left.
The end
It's just like an education thing. If you have, I know it was $1 million, but still, that should have been able to last her so long. If you have $3 million, you're pretty much set for the rest of your life if you invest it properly and the right way.
Amanda Clayton's story was somewhat unexpected. However, a 2-second glance at Ryan McGee is more than enough to predict that this lottery win would eventually end in disaster. After winning £6.4 million back in 2008 at the age of 27, Ryan was placed on the Sunday Times Top 100 Rich list for young people. He purchased a luxury mansion in his home country of Ireland, which featured 5 bedrooms, an indoor swimming pool, a full champagne bar, and a 2-car garage where he kept his brand new Ferrari 458 Italia. However, as you might expect, this is where things began to go terribly. Only 3 years after buying the Ferrari, Ryan slipped off the road, crashing the car into a field, mainly because he was driving in the snow. Locals were amazed Ryan was driving the Ferrari in that weather, especially when he had a more suitable Range Rover he could use. The Ferrari was not understood to be running on winter tyres, which, while costing around £4,400, hugely boost grip and handling in icy conditions. Ryan's property development business then dissolved, which was accompanied by a divorce from his wife and the sale of his luxury home. Then, 2 years later, Ryan McGee was pulled over driving an uninsured Ford Focus without a license. However, the most interesting part is that he had to claim legal aid, which is a service for those who are unable to afford a lawyer. Now, Ryan McGee was a complete idiot with his money. However, he still looks like Albert Einstein when compared to Martin Todt.
Jeez, they keep just getting worse and worse. I don't know, I think maybe dying from an overdose is probably the worst they can get, but yeah.
£1 million back in 2001. They didn't go in to claim the prize because, well, they had no idea that they were winners. They'd purchased a ticket in passing, completely forgotten about it, and would only come to realize that they were the winners after hearing about the unclaimed prize over 6 months later. The main problem was that at some point, the ticket had been misplaced or thrown out completely. Despite frantically searching, the pair couldn't find their ticket, but were sure they had won because the jackpot numbers matched the ones they used every week. Computer records in their local Londis proved Kay really had purchased the ticket, and the thrilled pair rushed to tell lottery organizer Camelot to claim their prize. But they fell victim to a little-known rule, stating lost tickets must be reported within 30 days. After 45 days of deliberation, Camelot told the devastated couple that they would not be collecting the jackpot, and as a result, the couple's marriage eventually came to an end. We'd only known each other for 2 years, and the lottery ordeal quickly highlighted our differences. All we did was bicker. Sadly, both of us agreed we should split, and Kay moved out. Martin seems to have convinced himself that losing the ticket ended up being a good thing, having stated, "For a long time I lost sight of who I was and what I believed in, but I can honestly say I'm glad I didn't get the $3 million now. There is no guarantee it would have brought me happiness, and if there's anyone else who would have agreed with this..."
That's actually, yeah, kudos to, I think it was him that said that. That's pretty wild. Man, though, it probably is a blessing that they didn't find the ticket. Probably would have been strung up on drugs and done a Euro Disney trip.
$1 million jackpot back in 1988, he had just $2.46 in his bank account and was able to purchase the lucky ticket by selling a ring for $40 to a local pawn shop. This
What? This is not going to turn out good.
With the time he'd spent in jail for cashing invalid checks, highlighted William Post's awful money management skills and acted as foreshadowing for how poorly his lottery win was eventually going to be spent. Only 84 days after receiving the $16.2 million, William Post had spent the entire fortune on a boat, a lease for a restaurant in Florida, a used car lot, as well as a private jet. However, even after all of the money had been spent, Post took on a further $500,000 loan to purchase a mansion in Oil City, Pennsylvania. The problem was that
you just know that this guy was having the fucking time of his life. For how long was it? Like a couple of months? How do you spend that much money that fast?
Hadn't actually purchased the original ticket himself, and had rather given the money to his girlfriend who had bought the winning ticket for him. Because of this, she was able to successfully sue him for 1/3 of the winnings, meaning that Post now owed $5.4 million to his ex-girlfriend from the $16.2 million that he no longer had. Since Post was unable to make this payment, the judge ordered that his bank account be frozen until he was able to come up with the money. However, before he was able to sell enough stuff enough to pay the $5.4 million, William was arrested and ordered to serve a 6 to 24-month prison term for an assault charge from 6 years prior. Toward the end of his life, Post was on his 7th marriage with over $1 million in debt and was getting by on food stamps at a job paying $450 per month. However, William Post still doesn't have the craziest lottery win story of all time.
That's not the craziest one? Oh man, I think we got one left. What the hell?
Title goes to Andrew Jackson.
See, this guy looks like he looks reliable, like he would know what to do with it. He's got a nice cowboy hat on. He's got the dad glasses. Was this picture taken after he won?
Whitaker, whose life would change forever after winning $315 million back in
Holy
2002.
shit.
Unlike almost everyone
How do you fuck this up? How do you fuck up 15 million?
else in this video, Whitaker was actually quite successful prior to winning the lottery, having built up a net worth of over $17 million with the assistance of his construction company. And while this would imply that he was in a
Hey, I called that shit too. I called that shit when that photo came up of him. I was like, this guy looks reliable. He looks...
position to manage a large lottery win, this
always
isn't what
judge
would
a book by
happen.
its cover.
Whitaker instantly donated 10% of the winnings to churches, Christian groups, and spent a further $14 million establishing the Jack Whitaker Foundation, which provided free food and clothing for low-income families in West Virginia.
Obviously, you're doing God's work with all this money.
Yes, I am. I'm helping a lot of people, and I plan to help a lot more.
He then drove back to the convenience store where he had purchased the ticket before giving the clerk a $44,000 check, a $123,000 house, and a brand new Jeep Cherokee, which was followed by Whitaker buying himself a Lamborghini, in which he'd drive around his neighborhood throwing money out of the window. After flaunting this wealth, his Lamborghini was broken into, where thieves stole $545,000 in cash. However, this apparently...
Bro, you were storing $500,000 in your fucking Lamborghini? Oh my god. So he was a smart businessman, but just also extremely stupid. Damn, dude, and he was donating
wasn't
as
much
well.
of a wake-up call, as his car was then broken into for the second time, resulting in the loss of a further $200,000 cash.
Who's storing hundreds of thousands of dollars in their car? What the fuck?
Jack Whitaker's granddaughter passed away, his daughter then passed.
And you know that it was somebody that knew him. So somebody had to have known that that money was in there. Because you don't just break into a Lambo and look inside. Like, you're breaking into a Lambo to steal it. And they broke in and knew all the cash was in there. This was an inside job. Inside job.
Away, which was followed by a divorce with his wife.
And now you've lost your granddaughter. You're about to be divorced from your wife. Where does this ever end?
Leading him to state that he had lost everything.
I pretty much lost everything I held dear in my life.
You got lots of money.
Jeez. Money has never meant anything to me. You have to have money to exist in this world, but money doesn't rule the world. Money is not what makes people happy.
And that he wished he had never purchased the lottery ticket in the first place.
My wife had said she wished that she'd torn the ticket up. Well, I wish that we had torn the ticket up too. I just don't like what I've become.
Whew. That was a crazy last one. Man, that's wild. It makes me feel like I don't ever want to win the lottery. I mean, I guess you have to play to win, and I don't play, so. All right, I'm getting out of here. Appreciate y'all watching. Hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe. New channel. Subscribe. We got videos coming out. I'm not going to say every day, but we're going to try. Appreciate y'all watching. See you later. Peace.